Welcome to Covid19 Fertility Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Pantea Kalhor. Ep17, From Surviving to Thriving with Fabiana Bacchini, Executive Director of Canadian Premature Babies Foundation. Please subscribe to Pantea Kalhor Transition channel and pre-order my book, Naturally Conceived, through Amazon. Thank you for watching. Talking to fertility warriors always inspires us to start our journey with more confidence, even if we have some issues with recurring miscarriages and conceiving. Learning about fertility warriors' mindset and techniques will empower us to continue with more wisdom and hope. Today, I have a very amazing guest. Her name is Fabiana Bacchini. And she is actually Executive Director of Canadian Premature Babies Foundation. She is a journalist and published author of From Surviving to Thriving, and A Mother's Journey Through Infertility, Loss and Miracles is a subtitle of her book. I'm so happy to have you here, Fabiana. I'm so excited to talk to you about your journey and really wish to learn what did you change and how was your story and your mindset through your journey.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to share my story. And I'm a really big fan of sharing stories because I think our stories really connect us to the core of who you are, and always a reminder that we are never alone.
Yes.
So thank you for having me.
Yes. Yeah, I like this sentence. To every podcast and interviews I talk, everybody say, we just want to show you that you're not alone. This is one part of my trailer for my PTSD and also this fertility empowerment.
Yeah, because it is true, because sometimes we do feel very lonely because we don't really share. And then when we do open up, you see how many of us go through those journeys that, yes, there's a community of us in every situation.
Great. So tell me about your story. So what did you do and what are you doing right now?
Wow, I'm going to try to be a little bit condensed because my story is long, but I'm an immigrant, you can tell by my accent. I moved here because of my husband, who is Greek Canadian. And, we had this regular journey of meeting and getting married and then trying to have babies. And I think that was the very first big obstacle we faced together as a couple, because we were, I cannot even say diagnosed with unexplained infertility, but that's what the doctor told us, that we had an unexplained infertility and we had to go through treatments. And then we would follow the regular route, like a lot of people do. You go to the fertility clinic and you do so many tests and, you put yourself through all those tests and exams and see what is happening to your body, to your hormones. And they didn't find anything either on my side or my husband's side. So okay, the very first thing was to just, have the drugs to see how my body was going to react. And then was a progression, as probably many of you know, the progression of the drugs and then the IUI. And then you have that day that you have that conversation. Okay, I think now you're ready for IVF. And you never want to get to the last stage, right? You're always hoping that those stages in between will work out, but it didn't work out for us. But at the same time, I start on this different journey parallel to the fertility clinic here in Toronto. My husband and I had been doing a lot of personal development courses, and we were in a very good state of mind, both of us. And in one of these courses, I met this one doctor, a naturopath doctor, who was from Toronto, who had moved to Canmore in Alberta near Banff. And he had opened up this clinic there. And he talked about the clinic that he was treating cancer patients in a very holistic way. And I got very intrigued. And I shared a little bit of my story with him that I was trying to get pregnant, and we were in this course, and this course made me very, very anxious because for the first time in my life, I had to do public speaking in English in this course. And I was very self-conscious about I was very self-conscious about my accent, and I had all this anxiety, and he worked on my body that day. And I felt really sick, and I had to throw up. And he said, this is all your unconscious mind that's holding on to all these negative emotions. It was like, okay, I like this, where you're going with this. And then I said, I think you guys should come to Alberta and spend a week with me. So I did, while I was going through my IVF treatments. And there was a lot of emotions that I had to deal with while I was going through his treatments, because naturopath doctors have a very different approach than a medical doctor, because they see you as a holistic being. They see your soul, your emotions, your mental health, and your physical body. And he started unpacking myself and what happened to me when I was a teenager. I had a very bad experience with a boyfriend when I was a teenager. It was, like a very bad sexual experience that I felt. I mean, I didn't know until I was 30-something years old that would consider a rape. But when I was a teenager, I thought, okay, he's my boyfriend. That's not really a rape. And I didn't understand that I carried that emotion with me for so many years. And I never shared with anybody that piece of my story. But I did share with this doctor in Canmore. And then he worked through my emotions. We did a lot of acupuncture and detox. And every 6 months, I was back in Canmore while I was doing my treatments in Toronto. And the treatments here never worked. I had a bad cycle after bad cycle. Right? And more drugs and more drugs and more drugs.
Money, and expense.
And a lot of money. I said, okay, my kids cost me a house.
Exactly.
Right. But it's, I never felt that at the clinic I was a patient or a person with feelings and emotions. And I was so stressed. And I remember one time asking the fertility doctor here in Toronto if the stress would have any influence on my treatments, because every time I was really stressed, I got my period. So sometimes I would get my period every other week because I knew I was very stressed. He said, no, there's nothing to do with your stress. But because I was learning other things, I said, I cannot be that disconnected. So 3 years into IVF and failure after failure with the cycles, my husband one day got really tired. And I said, I'm really tired too.
Disrupt you. So during these 3 years, did you go often to Alberta as well in between?
Yes, we were going every 6 months. And the day in between, I was doing detox here. I was working with a therapist. So I really looked at every aspect of myself and my husband. So it was the two of us. It really brought us together, that piece. Even though we dealt completely different, we can also talk about that, but it brought us together because we were on the same page in terms of treatments and discovered these new things for us because they were all new to us. We didn't know anything about it. And, I think for us, the time that we said, okay, I think we are done IVF here was the day that I actually got an envelope from the clinic that actually froze my embryos. And the envelope said, thank you for your business. And I remember getting that envelope with a receipt of, I don't even remember, thousands of dollars. And I cried all day because I felt, okay, I am a number for them. They don't really care. if I get pregnant or not, because if I don't, come back on day 3 next month and we start all over again. So my husband got really fed up, and he literally ran from our house to the clinic, which was probably like a 15-minute walk. He ran to the clinic and he said, I want all our files. We are done here. So then we are sitting in our house. What do we do now? And my husband said, just go to Brazil, spend time with your family, and maybe relax there, being with them for a while. Say, that's great. But before I went to Brazil, I spent 1 full week in Canmore, Alberta, with Christian, this doctor that I mentioned. And it was just me and him the whole week. He really treated me. He did acupuncture, and he did a lot of other treatments in his clinic. He made me climb a mountain in Canmore. And he said, this mountain is a representation of the obstacles you are facing.
Wow.
And you can conquer that mountain. And of course, I was freaking out because it's summer. It was spring, actually. There are a lot of bears and the signs, there's wildlife everywhere. And I was freaking out. And he said to me, and stay present, the mountain is in you. And I realized that, yes, I anticipating problems that are not even there. So I climbed that mountain and we came down with that beautiful feeling that I did it. And I said, okay, now I'm ready to go to Brazil and try another treatment in Brazil with another IVF doctor there. So that's what I did. So my husband and I went to Brazil, and we found this doctor there in São Paulo, where my cousin had a successful pregnancy with him. And the day I walked inside the clinic, he said to me, one day you're going to understand why this is happening for you. I was like, oh, I like the way he talks. And then he said, you're going to have an appointment with a nutritionist. You're going to have an appointment with a psychologist, and to have a full assessment to see where you guys are at. And he did it. We follow his protocols. And I remember that cycle so vividly in my mind, because it was the one that I took less drugs, less injections, less everything. And it was the best cycle we ever had. My embryos look so beautiful. All of them. I had 9 embryos. And they all look beautiful. And back then I remember how they graded the embryos. Now I don't, because it's been quite a few years. And it was a beautiful cycle. We transferred 2 embryos. And on don't remember how many days, 12 days later, he called me from the clinic and say, it's positive. So you're pregnant. And I was beyond excited. And I remember screaming and crying. And it was, the moment that I waited for so many years to hear from a doctor that it was positive. So we were pregnant with our first son. We only 1 embryo took. So that was Thomas, who was born exactly 9 months later, like a very healthy boy, 9 pounds 4 ounces, like a big boy. It was a very scary early pregnancy because I was bleeding. I had to go on bed rest. Then I was a pregnancy that I really enjoyed. Every morning sickness, everything that a woman who doesn't go through fertility complains about, I celebrated every piece of it. And it was incredible. And sometimes, when we were chatting before and you made me look back in that journey, because it looked so far away from me, right? Because I had to face so many other things after that. But it was so real, that the feeling that month after month you are so devastated. Every time you get your period or you bleed, you're devastated because there's another feeling that you failed. But when I look back now and I think about those days, I think my body was telling me something that I wasn't prepared to understand. And also I was not really present and enjoyed that moment back then. Right? This is a lesson that I had to learn many years later, to stay present and understand and have a strong belief that it's going to happen, and stay present to understand why this is happening the way it's happening.
That was so beautiful. I love your story.
Yeah, thank you. And I love sharing that story because I feel, when you're going through a challenge, we don't see the light, right? We don't see the end of it. It seems that it's going to continue forever, and it's not, right? That's why I like to share the stories, because it might not happen the same way to every couple, every woman trying to get pregnant. But I feel that, the way we share, the way we talk, it connects us, right? Like it really brings us together and say, yes, like, can I learn a little bit from you? Maybe I learn a little bit from you. And then to understand my own journey, my own emotions, and embrace it, right? Because you asked me, how did I overcome the infertility before, when you're chatting before this today. And I said, I don't feel that I overcame. I feel that I embraced it, right? I accepted, I embraced that journey. And especially the second time, right? The first time is one experience, but when you go to the second time, it's a different experience.
So I have some questions. First of all, did you have to go through IVF? Did you try natural pregnancy, conceiving, and did you have some break in between? The problem is when you go through to fertility clinics, there is no break. You have 3 months break, but you have to start another protocol, and then you don't have time to do some natural conceiving.
Well, we tried natural first, and it didn't work. But when we start the treatment, I think between the IUI and IVF, we did take a break. And obviously, then you have like, okay, you know what you want. So it's not really natural, because you try, okay, I think I am ovulating today. We need to have sex today. So I don't think it's natural. I mean, it wasn't under the doctor's supervision, but we tried that way, but it wasn't supernatural. I ended up I explored so many things. And I remember back then, on Danforth, there was this Red Tent Sisters. It was a little store. They had workshops, and they had all these natural conception tools that I tried them all, thermometer, and I had this big calendar in my wall. So I really tried a lot of different things. But in my mind and my belief today, that my first pregnancy was successful because I really worked through my emotions and my traumas, and I let them go. I really let them go.
That's the first step.
Right. And I think that's why when I did the treatment in Brazil, I was so free. I felt so free and so ready and prepared for this. Like I felt physically, emotionally ready, which I had never done before.
I think because you've been with your family, you felt safer and you felt more peace in your heart as well.
Yeah. I feel that is true.
So apart from those emotional and traumas you had, did you have any underlying health issues except fertility problems? No,
never. That's why for me it was a big shock, because I always being a healthy woman. My husband was always a healthy guy. We ate well. Obviously, when I start seeing Christian, the naturopath doctor in Canmore, he completely made me rethink food and what we ate. I mean, coming from Brazil, I already ate very different than here in Canada because our food is fresh, is closer from the farm to the table. We always try to eat organic and not fried food, or not always like homemade food. So I always had that in me. And my husband's the same because his parents are Greek, so they kind of bring the same concept. So we were always on that page. But Christian really made me rethink other things, like what should I exclude from my diet, or what I should add on, or review my sugar choices, because this is one thing. I always took artificial sugars. Don't ask me why, because I never had the weight problem, or I never had diabetes, but I always had artificial sugars. And he made me read these books on sugar, the different sugars that could, impact my health. So it was a lot of rethinking and a little bit change of lifestyle. My husband started juicing every morning with rutabaga and celery roots and kale, like early in the morning, with no fruits on his green juice, which was not the nicest thing to drink. But, we got used to it. It's been, 12 something years that he's been juicing every morning. So it's a lot of small changes that we made along the way of this journey. And I think obviously it did create in us a better, lifestyle and way of eating, even though we love eating out and having different foods and try food from all over the world, from different cultures and traditions. But at home, we try to do all homemade food and organic, and I think it does make a small difference.
Mm-hmm. What about the Brazilian nuts? They always recommend Brazilian nuts.
I don't particularly like them because I find them very oily, but they are extremely healthy. But it's not something that I buy for home. But it's a big thing in Brazil, and I know there's a lot of benefits for health. But I go more into the açaí, which has more antioxidants. Those are the Brazilian things that I can buy here that I prefer to
What is it? Sorry?
Açaí.
Açaí? I don't know.
It's a little black fruit from the Amazon that you can actually buy the pulp here in Canada, but you can also buy pills, açaí pills.
Oh, okay.
Is a lot of antioxidants. It's really good for you. But so those are the things that from my country, that I prefer over the Brazil nuts.
Did you cut dairy product as well, or you used to have it?
I love dairy. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't cut off dairy. When I was doing my detox, I cut off red meat. Mm-hmm. So I didn't eat red meat for many, many years. And when I tried to eat red meat again, it didn't sit well with me until my second pregnancy. So I didn't have red meat for many years. But I also took away from my diet peppers, eggplants, because and tomatoes for a while, because those apparently they trigger migraine and other things that Chris say, maybe avoid those while you're doing the detox. No coffee, which was really hard during the detox time.
Yeah, me too. No coffee, no tea. That was a really bad part.
That was hard. But what he showed me is I could have a very well balanced diet as long as I didn't go crazy in one item of the diet. And that's how I continued doing after that. But also I did change my sugar. So that was one big thing, that I never touch artificial sugar ever again.
I think changing lifestyle with diet, after sometimes you get used to it. Because I used to have cookies. I don't have cookies anymore. And right now my stomach feel bad when I have some cookies or sugar, So I'm so lucky because now I'm sensitive to having them. I don't have it.
Right.
So after sometimes your body loves to eat healthy, and your body start starving healthy food.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I do crave vegetables and fruits, and I don't have enough, for sure. You're absolutely right.
So, what are the 3 successful tips you can give us uh, for starting a successful pregnancy journey?
Well, you mean that before the treatment time, or when you're
Before
actually
conception.
before?
Yeah.
Well, I think, well, there's a lot of things that I can, share that worked for me, but of course we're all different, and things that work for one might not work for somebody else. But I feel the step one is to really feel connected to our bodies, because I feel we are so busy in society, always doing things and achieving more and not having time for anything. We have a massive to-do list of things all the time. So I feel that we end up disconnecting ourselves from our body and what our body is trying to tell us, right? If you have a pain, if you have a little bit of discomfort, a lot of times you just keep going, right? Or you take an Advil or a Tylenol and you keep going because there's no time to even address that. But I feel like when you connect to our body and you understand our body, I wish I had understood my body when I was much younger. Why am I getting my period every 2 weeks? That's not really right, because I was stressed. Why do I get cold sores all the time? Because I didn't realize those are my body telling me, hey, slow down, you're stressed. Right. And I think that is number one, to really be connected to your body, understanding what your body is trying to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as especially women, I think we're very hard to ourselves. And I don't think we're harsh, right? Like, or you feel guilty or you feel embarrassed because you cannot get pregnant. And how many times people say, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just get pregnant and have a baby? I got married, I was 31 years old, right? And people expect you to have a baby
Right away.
9 months after your wedding, because I have a traditional wedding and all that. And like there is this guilt that you carry, right? And then the families don't understand, okay, why can't you get pregnant? Why you guys are waiting? You're not getting any younger. And all those comments and people tell you like, okay, I was raised to be a woman in a career, right? That's why I got married when I was 31. Maybe I should have waited a little longer because I really want to build my career when I was young, in my 20s. That was my goal. I wasn't raised to be a mom at 22, right? And then you have all this pressure because you're older. It's like, no, but and then you're so harsh on you. You're like, it's so hard. Oh my God, maybe I shouldn't have waited that long. Maybe I shouldn't have invested in my career in my 20s. And like go through all this self-talk that is a lot of times is a very negative talk and not.
And you cannot go to past. You cannot change it.
Right, it is what it is. And like, okay, be kind to yourself. Today when I look back, say, I made a conscious choice that I want to travel and I want to be in my career in my 20s. And then I moved to Canada when I was 30 years old. I had to restart my career again. So I said, okay, I need to be kind to me. Like nobody else gonna be kind to me if I'm not kind to myself. And then I think that is a big thing for us, especially when you go to these clinics and everybody looks down.
Exactly.
And it's a heavy environment.
What a depressive clinic.
Right? It is, no, and I remember going to these clinics and nobody look at each other's eyes. Everybody seems like they're hiding from what they are doing in the clinic, and nobody talks, and you're like, okay, this is all happening, the same thing for all of us, like what, right? And it's so I find it very difficult. And it's okay, be nice to you, like if you're going through that, be kind. And it's okay, like you deal with your emotions. If you feel sad, you cry. If you're depressed, you ask for help. Right? There is always help. You're not alone. And you talk about that. You're not alone.
No.
And I think the other thing that if you are going through this with a partner, to talk about the emotions and the feelings that you both have, because we're both dealing with the same things, but not dealing equally with the same thing, because we have different perspectives. We bring different in our differences into this picture. You're going to deal with this differently. And I think if you don't talk openly about what it is for you and what it is for me with compassion, it can create problems with your partner. So whatever is, I mean, a lot of people go through this alone. It is a choice. Other people go with a partner. So I think having those conversations, I'm frustrated this month because it didn't happen. Or, okay, what's going to happen to our financial life with this? And what are you feeling about this? How far are we going to go? I think having this open conversation is very healthy for the future, not only for that moment.
Yeah. So what I just got from your words, I have a lot to talk. First of all, we should have a real connection together, because this is a foundation of a family with the parent, and you're going to create another baby with your connection. If this connection lost, so the creation is not easy, because creation needs energy and a real connection.
Absolutely.
Another thing I just got at, we need to listen to your heart, to our heart. For me, IVF was not the way I wanted to go. For you was the way. And I talked to so many people, so many fertility warriors. They had the same path, and they knew that they're gonna have the good result from IVF. So they listened to their heart. But if you are not happy with the place you go, let's say the fertility clinic you went, you didn't feel great, you have to change it. This is a journey that you have to detox yourself from all the toxins. So the toxins is not food only, it's relationship, it's all the negative thoughts, it's all the fertility specialists who are not really positive from the beginning, give you lots of bad statistics and give you a lot of heads up that you don't have too much chances because you're old, and you may have the same reaction from your family, even your close family, that give you lots of negative thoughts, and it's going to hold you back. But if your heart's saying that you're going to have a baby soon, so you have to find the way of your heart. I love that a piece of your story, that you go to mountain, on the top of the mountain, and you confront your fears, and you feel that you can do it. You had the power and you had the energy for the creation. I love that part of your story. And another thing about the fertility clinics, as I said, there is something in Canada recently, probably for you was not there, because few years ago they opened funding for IVF, and I was cheated by that. I tell you why. I said, okay, this is a funding. This is for women age this younger age, younger than 43-year-old. Mm-hmm. They're not going to do it for over 43-year-old. And I still had time. I wanted to go through it. The first time, from the beginning, I want to go to funding, and and I just put my name there. I was ready for it, and then I had another phone call from the clinic. No, you are not in this time. You have to try yourself, and you have to pay money. And I think I was cheated by that clinic, and I was so unhappy for that. But so I went through the non-funding IVF cycle for the first time. For the second time, they said, okay, you can use the funding one. But again, I was cheated. Why? Because I thought the whole expense is going to be covered. And unfortunately, that was a big lie. Because then you have to pay for the drugs. Medicine is not covered by insurance. So again, on top of all things, you have to pay $11,000 for the medicine, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, as you say, that's the business. And the problem with these fertility issues and fertility clinics is that you don't have a real support, and you don't, in some places, I'm not saying all of them are the same, but you don't feel warm, you don't feel happy from the beginning unless you have a great support beside you and you have a very positive doctor. As I see even in IVF clinics, one of my friends went there. She couldn't get the good IVF result from one fertility clinic. She went to another one. From the beginning, she said, I had really great feeling because the doctor was so positive. You see,
and what a difference that makes.
When the doctor, I know about the statistics, you don't need to remind me this. But when the doctor is not positive from the beginning, you see doubts, you don't feel safe, you can't trust. And then you feel that you're losing your money, you're wasting your money for something that doesn't have a good chance of getting you pregnant.
Absolutely. I think finding the right healthcare professional is the key, because you have to have that trust. You have to have that rapport and that connection with the doctor who's going to treat you. And I mean, I had incredible team of people in my care when I was pregnant with Thomas, and especially the second time when my son was born prematurely. And a beautiful connection with doctors. And I had an amazing connection with the doctor in the fertility clinic in Brazil. And what really, really put my heart in a good place, when I went to clinic for the first time in Brazil, it was a day when couples who cannot afford the treatment go to get assessed. He does 100 treatments for free a year in his clinic in Brazil. Wow. And that was incredible, because I remember I had some drugs left over, some of the injections left over from my cycle. And I said, okay, those are back then $1,500 an injection. I said, would you like to donate those? What do I do? And I said, we can take it, right? That you have that immediately trust in a doctor that does that, or even the way he talked to us, there was this trust and that confidence that we were doing the right thing and you had chosen the right clinic to go. Because I think you need that. You absolutely need that. You need that trust and that connection with the person who is going to help you and hopefully make you the parent that you are looking for.
Yes. So tell me about your book and your programs, if you have any. Do you have any website that you're going to share with my audience?
Sure. So my book came from I'm a journalist by trade. That's what I used to do in Brazil, tell stories, but I never thought one day I would be telling my own story. And I really need to put out on paper what had happened to us and how I embraced the challenges and what I did with the challenges in my life. Because my second pregnancy was completely different than the first one. It was a transfer of 2 frozen embryos. They both took, and I was pregnant with twins. But halfway through that pregnancy, we found out that one of the twins was not going to make to birth because they had a heart defect. Mm-hmm. So there was a big roller coaster of emotions during that pregnancy. And I had a stillborn baby, Michael, and Gabriel was premature. He was born 14 weeks ahead of time, and he spent 5 months in the ICU at Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto. And Gabriel went through a lot in the neonatal intensive care unit, and so did we as a family. It was a big challenging time in our lives, and Gabriel was later diagnosed with cerebral palsy because he had a brain damage because he was born so prematurely. And I had so much gratitude in my heart from the care that we received at the hospital at Sinai, and the doctors who took care of us, took care of Gabriel. And I really want to give back, right? And I think for me, the book was my first thing that I need to let it out, what I was feeling, and share the journey of other families that were facing infertility, families who had a loss, and families who experienced prematurity. Because I think I learned so many lessons along the way. And not everybody I know is not in the same state that I was, because I felt when I entered an ICU, I was in a very good mental state. And I really used a lot of strategies that really helped me. And I want to share those strategies with families. And so I wrote the book. And I share all of it very openly. It's out there. And with that, I started volunteering Mount Sinai in the very same neonatal intensive care unit my son stayed. And I've been volunteering there for 7 years now. And volunteer at Sinai really showed me the other side of healthcare and how much the doctors really care. So it became my purpose to join forces with them to support families like mine. And it's been almost 2 years now. I became the executive director of the Canadian Premature Babies Foundation. This is my work today. So we provide support, we provide education for families, we partner with researchers to help improve outcomes in Canada, and we advocate for premature babies. So this is my passion and my purpose now. So when I look back in my whole journey, going through infertility and all that I went through, you really feel, okay, this is my call. This is what I love doing. And the reason, I get out of bed every day is to support families like ours, because the journey is long, it's hard, but we can still live a fulfilled life. So this is a little bit of what happened after the infertility.
That's interesting. We actually walk in same path, because I was a project manager, software engineer. So what I'm doing as a fertility coach is not really related with what I had done before. But the point is, when this happened to you, you feel a distress and disappointment in other families. And when I remember all the switching credit cards from one to another, then I tell myself, then I say to myself that I have to do something. And when you do something with your passion, then you're gonna be happier, because your life is short. And if you have a message to give some hope to other desperate moms, desperate future moms, you can help and share it. That was really beautiful story, and I really wish to publish your words in my book as well. So I love what we talk about, and love your passion and your kind of work that you're doing right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I always think about what comes out of what is considered a tragedy in someone's life, right? And when I look at that, a lot of times it comes a beautiful thing, right? First of all, for me, I have my children and Gabriel, and a lot of times people look at my 8-year-old child in a wheelchair, and they come to us and they say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And that it really hurts, because why are you sorry? I have this beautiful child. And one day a doctor told me that probably wouldn't be a mother. So I have my child, and I think that's where my gratitude comes from, that I have my child. Yes, he has a disability. This is just part of who he is not who he is something that he has. And I don't be sorry, right? Because what we became and who we became as a consequence of going through the infertility and the loss and the prematurity, and now into this journey of disability, it made us, in my eyes, better people, because now we are givers to the community, we are givers to the society, and we try to help and build others up. And those are not things that were in my radar before. I was a journalist, my husband is an optometrist, but I think it is really lit another flame inside us to really make a difference and help others that are going through the same things that we experience. And I'm telling you, it's not always easy. It's hard.
No, it's not. Yeah.
It's challenging, and there's a very, very difficult days, heartbreaking days. But when I look at my children, I say, okay, it was all worth it. And I would do all over again the same way.
Beautiful. Always, you see, trauma make us to do some transition, and doesn't let us to just stay the same way that we've been there, even if it's difficult. For me, yeah, it's easier to be a project manager because money is good and you can just work in IT office. But when you feel a mission and you think that you can help others, and when I see that a lot of people are depressed and they can't actually have their baby in their arms, because I've seen it with them, with my eyes, that it's going to happen. Because when you don't have those beliefs in you, when you feel that you don't deserve to be mom, it just saddened me so much. Because I talked to some clients and they said, I don't deserve to be a mom. I said, why not? You have this limited belief with you for years, and that's hold you back from whatever is going to happen to you. Because we just create this drama for ourselves, which we shouldn't be there. There are lots of, it's not just medical, as you said. If your mind is not ready, if you are not aligned for the treatment, it's not going to happen to you. Yeah. That was like very touching story. I'm almost crying. And I love what you share for us. I really like it.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story too. I think it's so nice to hear different experiences and what comes out of those experiences. And it's just beautiful. And I think being able to help other people is really great.
And something just I'm going to add to Canadian hospitals, especially in Toronto, they are beautiful, very helpful. I had a nurse with me whole delivery, and I didn't feel that I'm delivering a baby. It was very easy delivery and very supportive, very nice hospitals. I like it. Even fertility clinics, as you said, is not bad at all. It's expensive, but if you are ready,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Fabiana.
Thank you.
So happy to have you here, and I'm so happy I can share this with my audience.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Please subscribe to Pantea Kalhor Transition channel and pre-order my book Naturally Conceived through Amazon. Thank you for watching.